Hey folks, this is Kalori. Welcome to Scrum and Agile Digest. So, what is a sprint retrospective? So, you've done the demo. The last thing that you're going to do is the sprint retrospective. And what you're going to do here is basically you're going to look back at your sprint and see what you did well and what can be improved. Some teams try to skip the sprint retrospective. I would ask you never to do that, right? They feel it's a waste of time. It is not a waste of time. It's very important that you do a retrospective, right? And you use the full timeline given to you. That's the only way you're going to improve, and that's one of the pillars, imperialism pillars of Scrum, if you remember, is adapting. So you have to improve, you have to adapt, you have to make sure your sprints are better going forward. And sprint retrospective is a very good tool which helps you do that. So this is kind of a rough timeline of retrospective. So let's say if you have a 1 week sprint, right? You can have a 45-minute retrospective. If you have a 2 week sprint, you can have a 1.5 hours of retrospective, and so on. Even if you don't stick to this timeline, make sure you have some amount of retrospective just to get the perspective of the team, the product owner, the Scrum Master, as to what can be improved. So retrospective is actually the final whistle, right? Kind of in Scrum, you're pretty much done with the sprint. It's the final ceremony that you're doing. So you can have the team, the Scrum Master, and the product owner as well. It's not a brain dump, right? You need actionable items. The reason many a times retrospective fails is, you might just add some notes here and there and then just forget about it. That's not the way to go with it. It's not a brain dump. When you note down items, right, you need to have some actionable items. You need to allocate people who will be working on those items so basically they get done. And you also have to track it, right? You need to track it and make sure those items are done. And that's where you get more value out of the meeting. Again, tackle the low-hanging fruits first, which are easy to resolve. And, it's also time-boxed, so make sure it ends on time. So what do you do in the retrospective meeting? Basically, you are looking at the previous sprint, right? You need to keep it positive, right? It's not a session where you're pointing fingers at each other, right? That's not the reason we have the retrospective here. You have to keep it productive, right? You write down your pain points. You write down what went well, what can be improved. Make sure you have some actionable items for the next sprint. You need to improve your team's performance, and what you should start doing, right? If you feel something can be improved, start doing that. If you feel something didn't work well for you, you got to stop doing that. If something has been worked very well for you during the sprint, you need to make sure that you continue doing that, right? And there are multiple tools available out there, right, to do the sprint retrospective. You can have, you can use Word, OneNote, some teams like to use Slack, Microsoft Teams. So there are so many tools out there. Even Jira actually has a very good plugin for retrospective. So, you can have a board like this, right? You set the stage, right? And you record what went well, what needs improvement, and next steps. When you're setting the stage, right, you can have a prep time, and you can have it's time box. You can say my retrospective will be 30 minutes or 1 minute. You can have the whole team involved. You will be the Scrum Master will be the facilitator, and the tools that you'll use is you can use sticky notes, or you can use some virtual tools to make notes. Always make sure, don't make it personal, right? And don't take anything personally. You have to have an open mind. Everybody's experience is valid, and set the boundaries of your discussion, right? Again, no finger pointing. This is not a team to basically, it's not a blame game session. It is a time to basically reflect and improve on your experience. So you have to encourage the team to improve their mindset, right? That is again the foundation of Scrum, right? Adapting, improving. So talk about what went well, right? Start with the positive note. That's always a good way to start. The team will talk about, let's say, the burndown was great, or the estimation was great, or they didn't have many roadblocks, or the team cooperation was great, things like that. Then you have to talk about what needs improvement, right? So you remind the team to be focused on actions and outcomes, right? Again, not a blame game, so do not point out specific people who need improvement. That's not the goal. But you can say, let's say, we need to be better at estimating stories. We need to be better at recording our hours and burn down. Things like that. I'm just giving you an example. And then next steps. So in next steps, you should have some actionable items, right? What you want the team to discuss, what you want the team, what actions the team should take, and you can assign people to that, and you can even track it to make sure that that's actually those steps are completed or not. And you can have a due date, right? Just like any other action item. So there are many methods of doing the star for doing retrospective, right? The idea is the same. Try to work on what's better, improve things. So let's talk about the starfish retrospective first, right? The starfish retrospective will divide whatever board you're working on. Let's say you have a whiteboard. You can have 5 different areas. It's like a starfish, right? So you can have, keep doing. If a team is doing something well, you recognize it, you put a value to it, you keep doing that, right? And then less of something that's already been done. You see that there's some value to it, but you don't think it's going to have much value going further. You want to reduce it a little bit. So basically, you put that in the less of column. Something you want to see more of, something that's already been done, but you feel that it's going to bring more value to the team or to the process, so you want to do more of it, right? Stop doing something that you feel that it's not bringing value to the team at all, or something, which you feel that it's getting in the way or it's an impediment. Stop doing that, right? Then start doing. If it's a new idea or something that you have seen that's worked before that you would like to bring to the table, bring to your team, and start doing that. So this is one of the ways you can do a retrospective. You break it down into these 5, keep doing less of, more of, stop doing, start doing. And then you basically show your team what activities you should concentrate on and what activities you should move away from. And that is it. We are done